disconnect, where the reconnection is the dialect. I am Eyebee knowing, and this is my co-host.
Yes, Jay know the Sun King.
Jay know
right
the Sun
over.
King.
I ain't gonna give him a long intro like I did the last time. I'm gonna keep it short and sweet, you know what I mean? Because we got a deep dive today that we about to get into, you know. But hey, before we get started, we definitely gotta get a shout out to our sponsors.
Absolutely.
Wildlife Vodka. We appreciate y'all. But remember, when you're drinking, drink responsibly.
Drink responsibly.
Yes, Lord. Yes, Lord. So, you gonna give it to him? I'm gonna give it to him. How we gonna give it to him?
Well, it don't matter. But today we're gonna be talking about the black leaders and why they fail. Why those black leaders fail in the community.
Yeah, the rise and fall. You know,
fall.
If you take a look at Marcus Garvey, the honorable, noble Marcus Mosiah Garvey.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I'm big Garvey, you know, so I do believe in Pan-Africanism, not just globally, you know what I mean, and just connecting and just building together. So I'm big on that. No matter how we identify ourselves, whether in what background, I still believe we collectively still need to come together.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, but when you look at Marcus Garvey, though, you know, he created the Black Star Line. He created tons of businesses, you know. And then within that, when he failed, I ain't gonna say he failed, excuse me, but I don't know, maybe you can say failed because the mission wasn't accomplished. Right. Now, when I've said this to people before, they get in their feelings. Yeah. I tell people all the time, we got to look at the pros, the cons, the good and the bad of what our leadership did. Right. You know what I mean? That's the only way to get better. Right. You got to study. You know what I'm saying? Both sides of the coin. Right. I made posts on social media about that, and boys got in their feelings.
And people do that. And people will do that. And those are the people that probably can't find fault in themselves, right? But, you know, we moving forward, we want to do better. As far as Marcus Garvey, you say you met him?
No.
Oh, okay. I thought you said that.
No, not as descendants. You know, I'm talking about the elder. Okay. Marcus Garvey. Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, you know, he pretty much was around. He came before, you know, Malcolm X and all these other individuals and stuff like that. Yeah. And so, you know, he had so many businesses, but then once he was deported back to Jamaica and stuff like that, like all the businesses went away. You know what I mean? Everything that he built went away. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, I mean, you had people that was trying to hold it up and uphold it within his organization. Right. But ultimately, at the end of the day, you know, it's still not as prominent as it was back then. Right. You know, you still have people that still going under the name of the guy's organization, but it's nowhere near as powerful and as massive as it was. Right. So that's just one example of Marcus Garvey, you know, but you see other leaders that rise and fall, you know, that, you know, and it seems like it's the same repetitive cycle.
So, would you say, what would you say is making them fall? Because if I would have to take a shot at it, I would have to say, even when they say, just broadcasting it, like always letting people know your moves, and your plays, So even when we talk about the Underground Railroad, like Harriet Tubman, a lot of people didn't know about what she was doing in her plans, like for the Underground Railroad, until after everything was already done, right? So is it safe? Like, is it really a good idea for us to be broadcasting? Like, if we coming together to try to make moves, right? And
so the thing is, no, I don't think it's safe. But the thing is, it's kind of hard to collectively gather people without broadcasting to some degree. Right. You know what I mean? It's like, once you start telling 1,000 people, somebody gonna have loose lips.
Somebody definitely gonna have loose lips.
You know what I mean? You can't keep 1,000 silent.
No, you can't. You can't. We can't watch 1,000 people. Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean? So there's always that issue. And then now, especially with social media, like everything gets posted and
well, I've been seeing a lot of people like branch off into their own platforms, right? A lot of people are starting to come up with like these different platforms and kind of like moving away from like the YouTubes and the Facebook and the Instagram, because they really feel like they don't have the liberty to say everything that they would like to say, you know, and stuff like that. So that
and then with the algorithm, they trying to shorten the exposure that a lot of different influencers and different people are getting. So
even with TikTok, I seen they was talking about shutting down TikTok.
I think they said it got a lot of votes. They voted to ban TikTok. I can't remember the actual number. I don't want to give no false numbers. Yeah. But it was pretty much both parties agreed to ban TikTok, and they signed it.
Wow.
You know, and it was one guy that was speaking on. He was irate. He was like, "Y'all can't agree on nothing else."
Right. I saw that. I saw that. Yeah, I saw that video. Yeah.
Right. We said y'all cuss at each other's throat, but somehow all y'all agreed.
It came together.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? To ban TikTok.
Yeah.
So yeah. Man, yeah. I think it's hard. You know.
Yeah.
Even if you have these different organizations and societies, I believe guerrilla warfare will be the key.
Guerrilla warfare. Go into,
you know what I mean?
Kind of.
So guerrilla warfare is a tactic that's basically small units. It started in Vietnam, North Korea, South Korea, South Korea, I believe it was. And it's basically a tactic. That's how they pretty much, y'all, excuse me if I got my wrong Koreas wrong. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But it was in Korea. Let me say that.
Right.
So when the U.S. was at war with Korea, pretty much they would pop up anywhere. It would pretty much say like you got an elephant in the room. You know, you tackling an elephant, and so it's a bunch of us, and we just kind of hitting the elephant at different angles. You know what I mean? It don't know which way to look, which way to go, because instead of, if you know, so, and that's pretty much what they did with guerrilla warfare. You know what I mean? So keep it, you know, moving in small units.
Right.
You know
okay, well, that's what happened to our society anyway. That's guerrilla warfare. That's the type of attack that they came at us with, right?
Right.
So yeah, so that about sums it up. I think they would definitely work, but shoot, they got to have enough people on board and enough, you know, different organizations and stuff or whatever, not trying to tear each other down, because there's definitely an issue as well.
Right. So the question I would ask and propose is that, because I see a lot of people online too, they were like, do we need leadership?
Right.
Do we need it? In your opinion, do we need leadership?
Oh man, I would say yes. You do. We definitely need leadership because, you know, some people don't need to be lawless. Some people do need structure. Right. So all of us can't be running around here like we got it can't be like too many chiefs and, you know, not enough Indians. Right. So we definitely need somebody that's going to come up and devise a plan and have a blueprint or whatever. But it's like, even still with that or whatever, it's like it's an ego thing. It's so many people that they want to be in charge. So even if you do have somebody that have this particular plan and this strategy that they're trying to do, it's always gonna be somebody that's trying to, you know, be on top
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say that too, that we definitely need leadership because of the fact that just look at the animal kingdom. Look at any organization, you know what I'm saying? That there's always, you know, like we spoke off the air, like there's always a queen bee, or there's a you know what I mean? Like the empire, like that we need to mimic nature. Or just not mimic, but just, you know, look at nature, observe nature and see how nature moves.
Be in tune.
Be in tune with nature.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean? Because nature will show you that. There's always an order.
Yeah.
So we can't just, you know, I think to go to the tune of what you were saying with those people, it's an ego thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They feel like, I don't want to subscribe to no leader, this, and yada, yada, you know what I'm saying? But we have to have the mentality like, hey, we all lead and we all follow in some form or another. You know what I mean? And so, and be willing to move in that space. You know what I mean? And do what needs to be done.
And it's definitely, like I said, and it just all goes back to ego. Like it just kind of just spins back into that too, because a lot of people don't want to follow. They don't want to follow. They want to just, you know, and especially in what we always bring up, and this is this is a word that's gonna constantly come. You're gonna hear me say this a lot on this because it's true. The cognizant dissonance is gonna always come up because a lot of people feel like if these leaders are coming up or whatever, and if this person is from a different religion or a different walk of life, they don't really necessarily want to follow. Even if this plan seems like it makes sense, it's like they won't even take the time enough to even listen to what this person has to say or the direction that they're trying to go if they on a different path. Because I noticed that even with me, right? I don't necessarily follow like any type of religions, but I've been in situations where if somebody find out that I'm not religious, it's like they automatically turn a deaf ear. Like I'm automatically alienated, right?
You're a witch now.
Yeah, I'm a witch now. Yeah, so it's like I'm automatically alienated because I don't have the same belief system as you, and I just think that I think it's crazy, you know?
Right. And see, for that same reason, if you look at the presidency, like every president always wants to have this quote unquote Christian values, whether they're Christian or not. A lot of the presidents have found not to be Christian.
Really?
You know, that was the whole ordeal, even with like Barack Obama. they were saying that he was really a Muslim, and they were trying to exploit that and make a big deal out of it. That was the variable that they was trying to use as to discredit him.
Wow,
To say,
I never knew
he Muslim. His name Barack Hassan, whatever. You know what I'm saying? They kept trying to push that.
I remember them breaking it down.
Right.
Yeah.
They're trying to break it down. So then they can be like, okay, we don't need to listen to him because he's a Muslim.
Yeah.
So that goes to show exactly what you're saying.
Yeah,
on all levels.
And it's crazy. And it's like if we can all, and I always use this this analysis, right? If we can all, you just look at it like I always use like the Walmart surveillance officer analysis. I always use this because it just makes so much sense. And if I am the Walmart security surveillance officer, right? And I got these cameras like all over the store. I got this camera at this angle, and I got this camera at this angle, and I got all these different cameras, just like how we got these cameras here, right?
Yeah.
And the way that I look at like all these different perspectives is this angle of this camera is arguing with this angle of this camera. And it's like my angle is right and yours is wrong. My angle is right and yours is wrong. And really, if you just come off the monitor, just come off the screen and just sit in this seat and you look at all angles, then you can see the big picture. Right. That's the type of leader that I think that, that we would need. Like somebody that, but then it's like, will people even accept this person? That's the thing.
Right. It has to have that balance. But like you said, once they put that stigma on them,
that's it.
That's it.
Especially in the black community. We got that bad.
Right.
We got that bad in the black community. We will throw people away in a minute. If they come up in there and they stand around stuff, if they don't even look right in the black community. I know for a fact. I know them old sisters that I grew up around, like even in church. If you look a certain way, they gonna throw you away. They gonna throw you away.
True. So let me ask you this. How do you think this, rising and falling in this constant turmoil with leadership, how do you think it's affected us today, currently?
Well, for example, let me show you something. I remember one day, this is back, I was a lot younger, right? And I was on housing, and stuff, and they had a program that was going on where they were going to help a lot of the women that were out there to get like certain certificates and degrees and stuff. And I went in for phlebotomy, and it was me and a couple of the women out there in my community that went in for phlebotomy. And housing was going to pay for it for us, right? Black leader, a lady, right, out here in Beaumont, Texas. Well, where that's where I'm from, right? And she comes and so she was over this program, and at the end of it all, right before we got ready to graduate, this lady, she just took off with all the money.
Wow.
She just took off with all the money. We sat there. We did the class. We went through everything, even went through the clinicals, everything. And this woman took off with all the money. So do you know how many people was discouraged from that? Because I never went back to go back and redo it. I'm like, I'm not redoing that, right? So it's very discouraging. Like when you dealing with people like that and they only in it for self. And I don't even think they realize the impact and how broad that is, like, like how you can discourage a whole community. You know what I'm saying? Of people like that to not even want to go back and do anything.
Right.
So
let me come at it at a different angle. Like you talk about the different lenses to create the bigger picture for everybody to see, Right. I think what's sad is that, what's the reality is that anytime a group of people lack resources, they're going to be at each other's throat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It instantly puts them in survival mode.
Right.
Now, what she did was misfortunate. It was terrible. It was horrible.
Right.
You know what I mean? So what I'm saying, I'm not saying this to justify her actions, but to create these different lenses.
Right.
As you spoke of,
Right.
And I say, for example, if you had 5 guys in a cell and you threw 2 sandwiches in there every day, what's eventually gonna happen?
Somebody gonna die. Somebody gonna kill somebody.
They're gonna be at each other's throat. They gonna, one person gonna always try to one up the other person.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think that's collectively what's happened in our society, and that's how that affected us.
So let me ask you this though: is that a natural thing, right?
Because it's not a natural thing.
How? Because even if you go back to nature, right? If we gonna go back to nature, and we talk about how in nature, like you have to compete.
Right. Well, I say it's not
survive.
a natural thing because it's a controlled environment.
Right.
You know
okay.
Saying?
Yeah.
In that aspect, on the micro scale, it's a controlled environment. Right. You know what I mean? So if everything was free and flowing, and I guess you could look at it on the micro and the macro level.
Right.
You know what I mean? Right. And so for that reason, it's like I don't believe a certain group, like quote unquote, this is how black people act.
Right.
This is how Asian people act. This is how a group of people act without resources.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's not race attributed to it.
That's true.
I mean? And so a lot of these, how this happening in society and these things that we're seeing today is people due to lack of resources.
So it's basically like a thing is what we call environmental stimuli.
Right.
When you just kind of like you adapting to whatever, like you
right.
you
so
are
like
in
you
survival
said, survival
mode.
of the fittest.
Survival
like
of the fittest.
Going back what
yeah.
you said.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah. So I would like to dig in and just really, explore the area of why do they fail?
Mm-hmm.
Why do black leadership fail?
If I would have to take a shot at it, I would say, and this is something that I just really feel deeply about, and I'm always go back to the center.
Mm-hmm.
Because we can't be out here trying to save the world and save other people when we're not centered. Mm-hmm. You can't do that, And if you have storms going on the inside of you, there's brewing in, or there's not traumas and stuff that's not healed. And I'm not saying that a person that has traumas can't heal people, but what I'm saying is it's very important that if you reaching externally to try to help somebody else, that you are doing the self-work.
Right.
You got to be doing the self-work. I can't help you. I'm not saying that I'm perfect, but if I'm coming to you to try to help you and I'm trying to be a resource or whatever, it got to be some type of sense of self-therapy, right? Like self-therapeutic for myself. And that's the only way that that's going to like really just happen that way. So because what's going on in the inside of me is going to, project.
Out,
right. As within, so without, right?
Right. And as above, so below.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Ooh.
so,
Well.
Yes, Lord.
Gotta have a moment of silence for that. Let that one breathe right there, y'all. We gotta let that breathe. Because people need to really hear this. Like we really have to start tapping in and working on the inside. Definitely. We got to come from the inside and go to the outside. But what's your take on it?
I believe there's many variables as to why we fail.
Okay.
Collectively, you know what I mean?
Well, hit us with the bulletins. We ready. We ready.
I would say, as what you said, it's the self-work that needs to be done.
Right.
And that self-work gets exploited. You know what I mean? That exploitation of that need, and a lot of times it's just that there's also outside variables too.
Right.
Outside forces that's affecting that.
Most definitely, yeah.
So I was looking at this video, and before I even get to that, I'm gonna say this. When I believe there's a serious group of leaders that's serious, but their voice is being not heard. They're crying in the wilderness. You know what I mean? They have the best strategy, the best formula, but no one's listening because this other cat is getting he has charisma. He has all these things back. Sponsors and all this stuff like that, right? You know what I mean? And so he gets overlooked. The real ones get overlooked.
Yeah.
If you look at when Malcolm X was speaking about that during the time, he even said that Martin Luther King, and no shade to the leaders, I'm just,
right.
He was talking about how they were getting paid $770,000 from the government as a way of kind of like a sponsorship. You know what I mean? Say basically during that time, it was so many black leaders, and in the churches and stuff, they were pretty much against all, stuff that was going on in the community. And so they said, okay, we need to corral list. We need to select somebody.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because J. Edgar Hoover said, his goal was to prevent the rise of a black messiah. You know what I'm saying? So he wanted to corral them, like, look, we'll take this certain sector, put money behind them, make them the voice, and kind of calm all this down so there won't be any more rioting and everything else. You know what I mean? This is Malcolm's words.
Okay, so before you go on, I want to put a pin right there, and I want to take some time to write this down. So what you said, that he wanted to prevent the
rise of the black
rise of black messiah. So I definitely want to touch on that after you get finished doing it, okay? Because people need to know what you mean by that.
Right.
A person that's never went into that is not going to know what that means.
Right.
So so we want to hear that.
So my thing is, anytime you're facing a formidable opponent,
right,
and you got this system is formidable,
right?
You know what I mean? You're not going to walk into a fight with Tyson. Even if you say you win, let's say you beat Mike Tyson in his prime, you're not leaving out that ring without a swollen eye, a cut,
right?
Some sore ribs,
right?
Nothing like that.
Right.
So you never face a worthy adversary they're not worthy then if that's the case.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So we have to recognize that this system is a worthy adversary.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So when I look at these quote unquote leaders, they get on national TV and they get on these places and they're not getting any backlash. They're not getting any, you know what I mean? How are you able to walk on this format and not have any, you know what I mean? Any
definitely
backlash?
dancing to somebody's music. They definitely dancing. Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I can see that. I can see that.
You know, I'm not going to, I thought about going particular in details. I'm not going to do that because I feel like me saying that can be more divisive than it is because people are that cognitive dissonance.
Right.
How dare you talk about my leader?
Right.
You know what I mean? So I won't go into that.
Right.
But
I mean, but it's, you know, I think it's enough of that.
Yeah.
I think it's enough of sweeping stuff under the rug and being scared to step on people's toes. But I get it. Yeah. I get it, you know what I'm saying? But it's like maybe we should get to a point to where we start addressing it and calling people out.
So I say that I want them to take this piece about the main part from this.
Right.
If your leader, and so they can self break it down.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Got you.
So if your leader is that the person you follow behind, you like, man, this person, this, you know, if they're just going on this format and you see nothing happen to them, if they're not getting threatened with molestation charges, if they're not getting hit with all these other allegations, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's something to think about.
You know what I mean? Yeah, something to think about, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like if they talk,
most definitely.
if they basically on the air talking reckless,
as
reckless as they talking, and you know it's reckless.
And Lord,
you know
I'm not gonna say no names, but but this is definitely
right.
Okay, so we getting deep. So it's definitely a gentleman that be all over social media, and he be talking reckless about like all the rappers, all the this, all of that, talking about their kids and all kind of stuff, and nobody ever like. And I often want nobody ever touches this guy.
Nothing touch him. You know what I mean?
That's crazy. That's amazing. I never really thought about it like that.
Right. So I'm gonna go ahead and use one example.
Okay.
And this might make people.
They'll be all right.
When I use this example, I'm not. Please believe I'm not siding with any part of this.
Right.
Let me say it again. Please believe I'm not taking any side in this. Might need to hear a third time.
Jay, no. Listen.
Yeah.
I got your back. Way back.
Yes,
Way
Lord.
back.
Yes, Lord. So, you know, let's take, for example, Bill Cosby.
Okay.
He was getting ready, from my understanding, he was getting ready to buy a good part of the media.
Yeah.
I think it was NBC, ABC. I can't remember exactly which one it was off the top of my head.
Right.
And right before that, now let's not I'm not going to say he ain't do what he did.
Right.
See what I'm saying? But there was never no situation.
Right.
And there was never no argument, no fuss, no about what he did.
Right.
You know what I mean? Until getting ready to, you know, buy a good part of the media.
Exactly. Right.
And we know that the media is the main source of controlling the people.
Right.
They discovered that when Hitler did what he did. They was like, oh, he controlled the media, and they said, okay, well, we can use the media to. Ain't nobody gonna get that power, access that power. See how Hitler did it, and say, oh, we're not gonna use it for ourselves.
Right.
So we know clearly that's what they did.
Right.
You know what I mean? So again, I don't know what Bill did and didn't do.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I know what he was getting ready to do.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And you know what? That goes tied back into the first thing. Working on the inside. Right. Right? Because when they see you as a leader and they see your weaknesses, they can use that weakness against you. So if you are one of those guys, right, for example, and your weakness is women or your weakness is young women, why wouldn't I send a young woman, you know what I'm saying, like to tempt you to have something else? Exactly. Why wouldn't I? So that goes back to doing the self-work. If you're going to be a leader in any type of something like that, you have to do that self-work because they're definitely going to use that. They're going to use that. Right.
And so speaking of everything that you just said and capitalize on, I like to take a minute for us to really dive into this video. This is a clip of I think it was FBI, it was an informant, and he worked with the government. This is a real testimony. He's literally telling you how I went in and I destroyed the community. I had to do this and I did this, that, and the third. You know what I mean? And so like, he's showing a clip. So anybody that think we're just talking, think we just jibber jabbing on this microphone. We not just. This is actual evidence, actual proof, that about what goes on.
What goes on?
I mean, so let's dive into this video.
All right, let's get in the inside of it.
What groups did you infiltrate in New York?
In New York, it was the Black Panther Party, Queens section.
How far into the organization did you get, and how'd you do it?
What I did was I was a member of the party already in the California area. All I did was travel up and say I was checking out the party in the Queens area. What happened was, though, I only stayed with that assignment for, 2.5 days. We found out later, we found out then that it was infiltrated heavily by the New York Police Department.
And there was no need for your services?
There was no need for my services.
Let's go back to the 60s. In the first interview, you touched on the fact that you were involved in some way in the robbery of arms from the armory, weapons from the armory.
Yes.
Give us the details and what just went down.
What happened was that the Black Liberation Army, was in need of weapons. This was relayed to my supervising agent.
By you?
By me. Okay. He said, well, why don't you go back to them and tell them that you have a plan to get some weapons?
What year was this incident?
Jesus, I don't really remember.
Okay. All right.
I don't really remember. It was early 70s, I know that. What happened was, well, I didn't live that far from the Compton Armory. It was right up the street. And what the plan was that I laid out to him, that on parade day they only had one guard at the armory, and it would be very easily to go in there and get the weapons.
What role did the Bureau play in allowing you access or to facilitate access to rip off these arms?
Oh, they worked out the whole thing. They made sure that that there were no guards, except for, I think it was there one guard? I think there was one. No, there wasn't. There wasn't anybody, as a matter of fact. That was the thing that kind of made me nervous about the whole thing, because I said, damn, you're supposed to have, it looks kind of phony when you go to an armory on a military base that's located near the Compton Watt area, and there's no guard in there with the weapons.
This is by day or by night?
This happened during the day.
What time of day? Morning?
No, it was late afternoon.
So what happened? You went into the armory via, how did you get in?
What we did was...
How many?
It was 6 of us all together.
Okay.
And we cut there was a chain with a lock. We cut the chain, opened the gate, shimmied on in, got over to where the armory was, opened the door, nobody was there, took the weapons and split. But the thing about it was the firing pins were taken out of the 16, the firing pins were taken out of the 60 caliber machine guns. The grenade launchers, they were ready, no doubt. They were in 81. Nothing had been tampered with them. I couldn't understand that.
Why would the Bureau be interested in collaborating to allow the theft of these weapons, so that knowing that they were going to go to the SBA or the BLA?
Well, it's like this.
SLA, I'm sorry.
Well, there's a thing called a controlled situation. And what is meant by controlled situation is that you know who has what and what they intend to do with it. Then also you can also have someone or something where you can exert a little pressure to make sure that they do such and such a thing. They don't deviate. And the Bureau was very into controlled situations.
So in other words, when they got these weapons, they could then be goaded or lured into getting into some activity that would make them vulnerable.
Right.
In other words, set up.
Right.
At this juncture, Perry began talking about a man called Elmer Geronimo Pratt, who Perry says is serving time for a crime he couldn't have committed.
Going to allow a person like Elmer Pratt to sit up 9 years in jail for nothing. The man did nothing except that he was a leader in the Black Panther Party, and they wanted him out of the way.
They?
The Bureau.
So, what happened?
Well, there was a murder, right? The murder happened in Los Angeles. Elmer Pratt was in Oakland, okay? Elmer Pratt was under 24-hour surveillance, both physical and SE, electronic. Okay? The Bureau, at any time after LAPD picked up Elmer Pratt, could have went down there and said, hey, look, you made a mistake. The guy was in Oakland. Okay? They didn't. They sit back and let it happen because they wanted the man out of the way. It's sick. Here's a man that got a Bronze Star and a Silver Star. Pratt, right, Elmer Geronimo Pratt. So when he got out of the service, he joined the Black Panther Party because it was a cause that he thought was just and he thought was right. Possibly, and I'm not saying, don't let me paint him a saint, the man possibly did some things, but he did not commit a murder. You know? And let me tell you something about Elmer Pratt. And this is from personal observation. The man was honest, the man was upright, and his word was his bond. You know? And he wouldn't go around doing a jive-ass robbery on a damn tennis court and kill someone. That's just not Elmer Pratt. He was set up, he was railroaded from the get. I'm surprised they didn't try to kill him in prison. And I'll be surprised if they don't attempt to do it now. Because now people are starting to make waves. Finally, people are starting to realize, after the man's been in there 9 years, and oh, by the way, four years of that was in solitary confinement.
Was the Compton Armory the only instance where you supplied arms to liberation or black groups?
No. I supplied handguns, a few other things, quite a few people. The Community Freedom School, I gave them the ID, the money, and told them the store to go to purchase weapons, and what weapons to purchase.
All right, so there it is. There you have it.
That's crazy.
And you see it.
That's crazy. And it happens. And it's not it's nothing new under the sun. They use the same tactic over and over and over and over and over.
Yep.
You know? And it's nothing new. This has been going on since way back when. And they use the same tactic with all these different leaders. I don't want to say their names either because I don't want to, step on nobody's toes or, offend anybody or whatever. But it's now that I, watch the video.
So what I like to do is we're gonna leave a clipping so y'all can watch y'all watch the excerpt here. We're gonna let you watch the whole video. You can follow the link. You can check out the whole video and basically see, from the beginning to the top, all the things that, because in the video, that was an organization. They were a positive organization.
Right.
I mean, a lot of them, I ain't gonna say like as though the other ones weren't positive.
Right.
But they weren't on any like revolutionary.
Right.
They weren't on any
being violent and stuff like that.
Right. They weren't aggressive. This was a community center.
Right.
You know what I mean? That was up for a grant.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then he was told to sabotage that so they couldn't get the grant and the funding. This is what I mean?
It's mind blowing. It's so mind blowing. It's mind blowing. It's the same. I just can't stop saying it. It's the same tactic. We have to learn from that.
Right.
We definitely got to learn from that.
Right. So,
Okay. So, in other news,
before we wrap it up, break it down.
I want to hit y'all with some, what they would normally call it fun facts, but on this show, we gonna call it. You ain't know that. Okay. They got this thing, J-No. Did you know? It's called the glass. Hold up, just a minute. It's called the glass cliff theory, and the way the glass cliff theory works is if it's a business that's already kind of on like a decline, what they would do is they would put a face there to be the face of that decline. But the business was already declining. Kind of similar to how a lot of people feel like how they did with Barack Obama. Like they put Barack Obama, like we're going to put a black face there. America is kind of like going down. Whether they, a lot of people feel like we are, a lot of people feel like we ain't. But whatever.
So look for a scapegoat.
So what they were saying was on here, if you are a person that's trying to be like some type of leader in any type of business or something, this is something that you should research, right? You should definitely research and make sure that this business is not going through what they call a glass cliff theory, right? Because you definitely don't want to be that face that everybody's going to blame everything on. You don't you don't want to do that. But anyway, they were saying that like it mostly happened with women, but it also happened with black leaders as well. And so they say with so according to Google, right? Because this is where I got it from. It was saying that this happens with women and it happens with minorities. So a lot of times when you see, even when we talk about like certain businesses and stuff, like, you know, their business kind of went down. If you really take like a look at it, the business was already going down before the person that they're blaming it on. Their business was going down before that person came into it. So this is something to kind of, you know, just kind of educate yourselves or whatever, just kind of know about before biting off more than you could chew. You ain't know that.
You ain't know that.
So did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
I know you ain't know that. You ain't know that.
You ain't know that.
You ain't know
that. Hey, that's what's up. That's awesome. That definitely. I appreciate you sharing that light with us. You know, so let's take it to the disconnect. Let's bring this thing to a head.
Okay.
And in your opinion, with the black leadership in the Southern community, what is the main disconnect? Or would you want me to go first? You gonna go first? You want me to go first?
It don't.
No, you got it. Ladies first. Ladies first.
It don't matter. It's the same thing. It's the same thing that I've been saying throughout this whole episode. Right? It's going within. I just really feel like the disconnect is to start talking about issues and stop sweeping stuff under the rug. We got to stop doing it, because what's happening is we're internalizing it and we're holding it in and we acting like we don't see things, and when it comes up above the surface, it's real ugly. It's real ugly.
So I believe the disconnect is that at this point in time, with all the information we presented and everybody see, is that you have to know that eventually they're gonna come for you.
They definitely gonna come.
And that, you know, and that's not even just that's just not even like in like terms of black leadership, but that's how the business world is.
Yeah, it is. Most
it's a
definitely.
dog eat dog.
It
Like
is.
any person that's on top or see a potential threat, you know what I mean, to undermine what they're doing, somebody else is doing on the opposite side, they coming for you.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you have to have they coming for me strategy in mind.
Right.
You know they're gonna exploit your character.
Right.
If they can't find nothing, they're gonna make up something.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And then so you gotta have a predecessor. You gotta know that. You gotta know that my position is not eternal. My position is not forever.
Yeah.
It's like the president. I'm holding a term.
Yeah.
Once my term is up, I got another leader in place.
Yeah.
And I've already been grooming them. I've already been training them.
Right.
And he got to know, or she got to know. You know what I'm saying? That they eventually coming.
Right.
And to be a leader, truthfully, you got to make the ultimate sacrifice.
Yeah.
You got to say, I'm finna be like Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Because they finna crucify you.
Yeah.
You know
Most definitely. Most definitely.
You know?
Especially if the revolution is televised.
Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
exactly.
so.
And so that's the thing, is that, you know, you got to know that. And if you don't operate in that way, we definitely gonna fail.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I agree.
And I believe that's the major disconnect. And just understanding that, man, just looking at history. You know what I mean? Just taking a look at history, and I feel like enough of us not studying history, they gonna shoot the messenger. You know what I mean? Now for the side of the people, I spoke in terms of the leader. Now in terms of the people, themselves, they gotta have the mindset, like you was talking about. They find one little flaw, listen to the message, forget about what the messenger, who the messenger is,
his belief
forget about
system,
his appearance, all that. Is the message solid?
Yeah.
Is the plan solid?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Is this what we need to be doing?
Right.
If you agree with that, so if you agree with that, then rock with it.
Right.
Don't switch up when the media come and they say, we just found out he was with them boys.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Excuse me.
I'm gonna tell you what the old folks say. They say even the broken clock is right twice a day. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I believe that is our major disconnect. You know what I mean? It takes two sides, the party of the people. You know what I mean? The size of the people and the size of the leader. You know what I mean? The leader got to know that, and the people got to know that.
Right. Most definitely.
Because it's so easy, you know, to get to slander. You know what I mean? Hitler said it, tell a lie, tell it repeatedly. Once you tell it over and over, the human mind gonna believe it.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
yes, Lord.
That's psychology.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just like if we went outside and I say, you know what, the sky purple. You know what I'm saying? You be like, sky ain't no doggone purple.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like, yeah, the sky purple. If I tell you that every day, sky purple,
Yeah.
sky purple. You know, in theory, what you're going to do, the first step they're going to do is you're going to start picking it apart and rationalizing
Definitely,
it. You're going to say, well, you know what? The sky I see how the sky could be purple.
Right.
Because when you mix blue and these colors, it's this
Together.
undertone.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
You start
yeah,
rationalizing.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but needless to say, that is a disconnect.
Yeah.
That's the reason why we rise and fall. The people got to understand the message, and the leaders got to understand the message.
I definitely agree. And that's the disconnect.
And that's the disconnect.
That's it.
Yes. So before we go, we're going to hit them with this good music.
Music?
Music.
Music?
Yes. You know what I mean? We're going to close out with the music. We thank
All right.
y'all for being a part of this show.
Yes.
You know.
And make sure you reshare. Make sure
Yes.
you reshare and yeah.
Oh, yeah. All that. Make sure y'all, whether you listening to it, follow us, like, subscribe. Excuse me. I got tongue tied right quick.
Take your time. Take your time. What they say, the old folks, take your time, baby. Take your time, baby.
So, yeah, the Disconnect Podcast on Facebook. TikTok, same thing, at the Disconnect Podcast. And on Instagram, at the Disconnect Podcast _. So make sure, whichever format that y'all on, make sure y'all tap in.
You can tap in on all of them.
Yeah, tap in on all of them.
Yeah.
And all streaming platforms.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, again, we appreciate y'all. Next topic, we're going to be talking about them politics.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're going to have a special guest for y'all. We ain't going to announce the guest
No,
yet.
we're not going to announce.
You know what I'm saying? We're going to keep it on the low. But the brother's a good brother.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, once again, we thank y'all. Peace.
See you next time.
Next time.
Ooh.
Sons of Judah to the tribe of Shabazz. We ain't gotta be friends, we can be comrades. We used to beef over flags, now we beef over books. It's not as deep as it looks, it's not as hard as it seems. Economics is the key if we gon' reach our dreams. Finance the youth, so we glue by the seams. You know they coming, so stay with them beams. Guerrilla unit, keep it moving in teams. Young Hannibal, no they can't handle us. I buy from you, you buy from me. What's next? Then we defend it all. We play for the win, don't play for the fall. No. Too many Scarface movies. What's the point in doing just to say you do it, What kind of fool is you? That's something you would never see LeBron do.
Looking for the lost ones, 'cause I'm feeling like a lost one.